When deceit seeps into the sacred ground of combat, justice doesn't wait, it strikes back. The crowd roared, the gloves cracked, and in that electric tension between pride and punishment, the sport of boxing reminded everyone that karma never loses. The first offender was Jarrell Miller, the heavyweight loudmouth who treated the ring like his personal circus. Before the fight, Miller tried to intimidate his younger opponent, Dubois, spitting venomous words and hurling childish insults. He mocked, he jeered, and he puffed his chest as if words could win a war. But Dubois stayed silent, eyes fixed, expression calm. Because in boxing, fists do the talking, and Dubois was about to write an entire novel. When the bell rang, it was Miller who looked confident at first, eating punches like snacks, taunting as if invincible. But arrogance always fades faster than stamina. Dubois gathered every ounce of frustration, every insult that echoed from Miller's mouth, and turned them into pure power. His right hand landed like thunder, his left hook like lightning, and the storm didn't stop until Miller's body gave out under the weight of his own ego. The referee had no choice but to step in as Dubois stood tall, a man who proved that silence is louder than trash talk. The bully was broken, the loudmouth humbled, and the sport restored its balance. But boxing never runs short on villains. Next in line was Ezra Arenka, a fighter who strutted into the ring dripping arrogance. He mocked Ben Whitaker before a single punch was thrown, dismissing him as just another name to crush. Once the bell rang, Ezra's mouth didn't close. He taunted, smirked, and disrespected his opponent at every turn. Yet arrogance is fragile when faced with skill. Whitaker, moving like poetry in motion, dismantled him piece by piece. His punches were clean, clinical, and merciless. Ezra swung wildly, desperate to prove something, but Whitaker danced around him like smoke, untouchable, graceful, inevitable. When Ezra realized he couldn't win fair and square, he resorted to dirty tactics. Low shots, holding, anything to disrupt Whitaker's rhythm. But that only sealed his fate. Whitaker unleashed fury with precision, striking with the authority of someone who doesn't just fight to win but to teach. Each punch was a lesson in humility. By the time it ended, Ezra's bravado had vanished, replaced with the hollow look of a man who'd learned that disrespect is the most expensive mistake in the ring. Then came Mohammad Habati, the self-proclaimed Persian lion, who roared loudest before battle but whimpered when faced with real competition. His opponent, Diego Brandao, a veteran of the UFC, needed no words. The moment the cage closed, Habati began his usual antics, mocking, provoking, and even throwing illegal moves. But Diego wasn't there to play. He was there to deliver divine justice. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a dismantling. Brandao hit him with the fury of karma itself. Every punch a reminder that cheap tricks don't save cowards. Within minutes, Habati's pride crumbled, and the so-called lion looked more like prey cornered by a beast far greater than himself. When the referee raised Brandao's hand, it wasn't just victory. It was redemption for every fighter who believes honor still matters. The pattern continued. In 2022, Ruben Torres entered the ring with an undefeated record and a reputation as a dangerous man. But when defeat loomed, he showed his true colors. Against Christian Baez, Torres found himself overpowered, outclassed, and on the edge of embarrassment. And then, in a moment of pure disgrace, he lashed out with a cheap shot, knocking out his opponent when Baez wasn't ready. The crowd gasped in disgust. It wasn't victory, it was theft. But karma has a perfect memory. Months later, Torres met Eduardo Estella, a fighter fueled by discipline and vengeance. From the opening bell, Torres looked dominant, controlling the ring and landing heavy shots. But Estella was patient. He absorbed the punishment, studied his prey, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. When it came, it was brutal. A right hand, then another, and suddenly Torres, the same man who had cheated his way to glory, was cornered, gasping, powerless. The crowd erupted as Estella's fists crashed into him with the rhythm of retribution. The referee stepped in to save him, but the damage was done. Justice had finally arrived. And then there was Chris Avalos, a name remembered not for glory but for arrogance. When he faced Carl Frampton in 2015, Avalos didn't just underestimate his opponent. He mocked him, humiliated him, and tried to break his composure. Frampton said nothing. He just smiled, quietly storing every insult like ammunition. When the bell rang, all that calm turned into chaos for Avalos. Frampton's punches were lightning, clean, relentless, and precise. The challenger tried to fight back, swinging wildly, but every exchange ended the same way. Frampton's gloves crashing against his face like waves breaking on a rock. By the fifth round, Avalos was overwhelmed, unable to defend himself, and the referee had to step in to stop the slaughter. The crowd exploded. The humble man had triumphed. The loudmouth had fallen. These stories aren't just about boxing, they're about balance. Every dirty trick, every cheap shot, every moment of arrogance always finds its counterpunch. The ring doesn't lie. It exposes weakness disguised as confidence. It punishes deceit disguised as skill. And it rewards those who fight with respect. When the gloves go on, reputations mean nothing. What matters is character. The kind that doesn't crumble under pressure, that doesn't need to cheat to win. For every Jarrell Miller who taunts, there's a Dubois waiting in silence. For every Arenka who mocks, there's a Whitaker ready to make a statement. For every Torres who cheats, there's an Estella destined to restore order. That's the beauty of combat sports. It's not just about strength or speed. It's about truth. And truth always wins, even if it takes a few rounds to land the final blow. So as the dust settles and these lessons echo through time, one thing becomes clear. Karma never misses. It might wait. It might circle. But when it strikes with precision. And when it does, every fighter, no matter how bold or brash, remembers that in the end the ring belongs to those who fight with honor. What do you think? Does karma truly exist in the world of combat sports? Or is it just poetic justice catching up to arrogance? Let us know in the comments, and if you enjoy watching the rise and fall of fighters who test fate, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss the next story where the ring itself delivers justice.